Last week, former Lieutenant Governor Mark Robinson officially announced that he's withdrawing his defamation lawsuit against CNN and withdrawing from politics indefinitely. Now, you might remember how last year during Mark Robinson's run for governor, CNN published evidence that he had for years published on an internet forum called Nude Africa, where he proudly called himself a black Nazi and posted extremely graphic sexual content about his wife and his wife's sister. We are not going to post that stuff here because this is a family-friendly channel, but it was gross. In response, Mark Robinson said it was all fake news. The liberal media was out to get him, and it was all created by AI. He sued CNN for defamation, called it a high-tech lynching, and asked for $50 million in damages. And he also asked his supporters to send him more money for his legal defense. But now Mark Robinson has changed his mind. He says that the words of our savior convinced him to abandon his case. Mark didn't come out and explicitly say that everything in the CNN report was true, but it's not hard to read between the lines here. It obviously was. The political arc of Mark Robinson is really fascinating. For over a decade, he and his wife held a series of scammy businesses. They first started a cut-rate daycare that endangered children until it was shut down. Then they defrauded a government program for feeding children. All the while, Mark Robinson's wife was the brains of that operation, and while Mark himself could barely hold down a job because he was so busy posting racist, anti-Semitic, hateful trash on Facebook, and apparently writing amateur porn. Eventually, Mark goes viral, he gets a lot of attention, he jumps into Republican politics, he gets recruited to run for lieutenant governor, and the rest is history. Mark Robinson changed the office of lieutenant governor in North Carolina for good, and he did it by not doing the job. Mark was happy to take the big salary and the free mansion provided by the state of North Carolina and Raleigh, but he never showed up to work. He didn't go to meetings. He sent staff. Instead, for 4 years, he toured the state and the country, giving speeches and raising money and shouting about the groups of people who he hates the most. And he showed that you can do that, and a lot of voters do not care as long as you show that you hate who they hate. Mark Robinson is a buffoon. His whole personal brand is based on sounding powerful, even though in reality he's a weak and foolish man. And it turns out he's a fraud too. He's the kind of guy who's certain about a lot of things, but doesn't know very much about anything. He represents a brand of politics that's entirely based on who you hate. And unfortunately, that does meet a certain mood in our country and our state right now that is on all of us to reject.